Have we ever not been ready?
Now, what is this one?
This is a wrapped EDC belt. This is a belt. We make a ton of belts. We can kick them out. I've got a bunch of videos doing belts. But I want this belt to be fully camouflage, right? I'm gonna do it all multicam black. So the base is gonna be multicam black, and the top webbing is also going to be multicam black. But there is not a webbing equivalent to this webbing that I use in multicam black, so I'm gonna put a wrap around it. You'll see a lot of guys, well, I don't know about a lot of guys, but you'll see guys make these, and they're always like, they got wrinkles and shit in them. And that's just because you're not holding it. You just have to apply tension. The difference between a $40 belt and a $200 belt, because that's what these are, they're $200, and we get it all the time. The difference is 1%. It's just literally 1%. Your belt looks like shit, and guys pay 10 times more for my belt. And here's what you're doing. When I'm doing this, I'm holding the bottom layer of Cordura, and I'm pulling on it. And the machine's pulling the webbing. I'm pulling on the webbing a little, but I'm pulling more on the Cordura. Now I already have my crease at my halfway point, so I know where this needs to, I'm just going to cut this off right here. I'm not going to throw this away. I have a dozen products I can use this for. Now, the stretch is already on the material because I was pulling on it. Now I'm going to pull this way. This is already sewn here, so I'm going to push this down. I'm going to pull this way. I'm almost lifting it up at the same time I'm pulling on it so hard. And just look at it as little bites, right? You're just taking 2, 3, 4 inches at a time, little bites. And that right there, what we just did, that's what's going to make your belt have wrinkles or not have wrinkles. So there it is. And now I'm just going to go back and I'm going to pull this in. Now this part here, you're not going to see it unless you really fuck this up. You're not going to see it. So I'm just going to pull this in as best I can. You can make this longer if you want to, so you have more to grab. And I still want to stay close to the edge so that it doesn't look like a bunch of lines of stitching. You build a few of these in a day, your fingers will be sore. If your fingers aren't sore, that's why you're building $20 belts. Jaeger gave me a handful of these screwdrivers years ago. I think he said the company's out of business or something. He probably got it from a SHOT Show or something. Some dude's gonna send me an email and be like, yo, it's Peroni, I'm not out of business, bro. Aaron, hook it up, man. Do we need a SOE? Total War? Should we do an SOE? Onward, maybe? Onward with Rob?
I mean,
Like black round logo, made in the
Yeah.
motherfucking USA.
what's it gonna taste like? Freedom?
Tastes like feral pussy.
Oh god.
I just sewed all that with my thread. Come back past the where the last stitch was. I usually come a couple inches if I'm doing straight line stuff. Grab this tail over here so it starts spinning on the bobbin. Hold it till it pulls the tail off. There it is. That's the part we're going to see. And we're still single layered right now. So now we're going to make this into a belt. We're going to bring my fold over here. We do thousands of EDC belts. Like guys, every now and then, maybe once a year, I'll get a dude's like, hey, I got my belt. And there's a break in it. Like it's not, it's cut. I'm like, yeah, that's where it's 2 layers. It starts as 1 layer and that's where the overlap is. That's on all of them. It's just, it's always surprising when somebody looks at a product and can't look at it and be like, oh, I have to tie my shoestrings. They don't come tied. It's like, it's just kind of that thing, right? Also, you might want to make sure you don't have this a flip in this thing and we're sewing it all the way together and realize that it's twisted. And you want to make sure that it's not shifted, right? You want it all even. Getting a little thick there. Now when you're taking 2 pieces of webbing like this and sewing it together, you can make it stiffer by adding more lines of stitching into it. Right now we've just sewn this together and we've got the perimeter, we've got the outside edges sewn together. It's very stiff because of the webbing that we start with. But we're also going to sew this other piece on top, which will make it a lot more stiff. This is where that break is. It starts and stops. So I'm going to tack this here. And then I'm going to tack it right next to it on the other side. And then tack that little piece there. All right. Get all our threads off while it's in our hand. You might as well do it now rather than fight it later. Attention to detail. It's the 5 seconds that adds the last 1%. And that's the difference between you being just a dude building some shit and a dude building the best shit. If you're not building the best shit, you're going to spend thousands of dollars on advertising and marketing. If you're building the best shit, you're going to charge a lot more for it. You're going to get paid a lot more for your time, and people are going to bang your door down asking to buy your stuff. You're not ever going to have to shop for customers if you're the best. If you're not sure if you're the best, you got a line of customers that you're just turning work down, you're the best. If that's not happening to you, you're not the best. Make my stitch pattern a little smaller. That's about 12 stitches per inch, it sounds like. That was 22, so that's 11 per inch. No, that was 3 inches. This is pulling. Feed dogs are pulling it. I'm applying tension downward, so it's kind of stretching so that that Velcro is on there nice and tight and flat. While this is attached, I'm pulling on this. I'm going to push down at the same time and cut that thread. So there's very little tail, if any, there. And then I'm going to look at it right here in my light, and there's a tiny little tail, about a 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to burn that. That's clean. We're not going to have to touch that anymore. Now, this is that piece where it overlaps. That goes over the top, right? So that it's not going against your fat roll, your little tender belly there. I don't know why it would touch your belly anyways. You're wearing pants. I mean, you're not wearing this without pants. Well, I guess one of you guys probably are. Fucking weirdos.
Jogging pants with a belt.
Something. Here, I'm pushing. The machine will eventually break free and drive that needle. You get a lot of deflection though, so I'm just gonna push that through by hand and then sew it. I'm gonna start that. I'm not gonna give it a chance to flex that needle and strike that needle plate. Could you hear it on? You think the camera heard it? Okay, now, where do I have best pattern on this piece of PALS? I have the best pattern right here. This is the part where the buckle is going to go, and you're going to see, so I'm going to run this right here. And I'm going to overlap this 1 inch. That's how I do it. The guys, if you buy 20 different belts like this, they'll have all kinds of different ways that they're building their things. I've never looked at another dude's belt. I've never picked it up or bought one and compared it. We've been making these belts before anybody else was making them. There's 1,000 dudes making belts now. It's like when the economy got tight and every dude lost his job that liked guns, he went and bought a toaster oven and started trying to make Kydex holsters. And I guess if you make a holster out of Kydex, it's a Kydex holster, but most of them were pretty shitty. So I haven't seen all the belts out there, but a lot of guys bought sewing machines and bought belts. You see guys making belts that want to sew because they think that the belt is the easiest thing to build. So that's why you see so many companies and all they build is like belts. Ooh, that just shifted. I don't like that. That just pulled that work over. So this is a Conso 206. We have machines out there that are much heavier, that are much more forgiving for this. This is what I always sew on. I don't know that I've ever even had one of the bigger machines as my primary machine. Most of our girls out there sew on bigger machines now. And it's the difference between, you could probably buy one of these machines for $1,000, $1,200. The other machines are, you know, $2,500 to $4,000, depending on the features on them. But the other machine is much more forgiving. You do not have to have as much finesse. Okay, now this is just over my shoulder. Feed dogs are pulling all of this bulk. What you have is 2 layers of scuba webbing, resin reinforced scuba, and then you have 2 layers of Cordura on each side that we're sewing through. And then this piece, I'm actually pulling back towards me on this piece. I don't want any wrinkles. I want this thing super tight. And we're looking at the job, we're looking at it as a couple inches at a time. You can shift this, and if it kind of comes out of line, you can bring it back into line and nobody will notice it. I feel like I'm going to run out of bobbin pretty soon. That bobbin I put in there was not very full. And if you're doing colored thread, that's a big deal. Start with a new bobbin each time. Don't use partial bobbins on contrast color thread, because where you tie back in, you'll see it a lot. There is nothing on this piece of material worth using like this. There's not enough, this is literally trash. There's nothing there worth saving. Unless you're building shit. I mean, you could use that as a black piece on black kit or whatever. Or if you're a hobbyist and you're learning how to sew, you're probably gonna save every scrap you can, because you're probably buying this shit by the foot. Okay. Now, you can use a screwdriver or whatever. I use a razor blade to just kick all of this in line. And I'm pulling back towards me. It's taut, it's tight. Now, when you run your presser foot up against this buckle, don't let it go all the way, because if it goes all the way, there's a 1/2 inch step, 3/8 step right here. You're not going to be able to make that turn, right? So travel 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the smoke. There's smoke coming out of this right now. Okay, so there's 5. Now I'm going to zigzag back over. And if you get close to a buckle or something and you're too close to be able to pivot, just sew backwards a little bit. I'm out of thread. Three, 4 loops, wraps through the hole, and then I'll hold this when I start sewing. Ooh, I totally fucked this up. That tail, look at this. Shifted and it came out, right? Can you see it?
Yeah.
So this is sticking out here, right? So I'm gonna actually unstitch this and get this tucked back under there. If it was your belt, you wouldn't care. If you made this belt and put it on, you would never notice it past right now. But if you send that to a customer, they'll notice it. And on a wrapped belt like that, these are pretty high dollar. And when you're holding this, this is the most dangerous thing for your career that you will do, because when you cut yourself, it's going to be this knuckle right here, this one here that has multiple sets of stitches in it right there. And when you cut that knuckle and you continue to sew, that wound will not heal. And when they take the sutures out in like 12, 13 days, the wound will completely be open. Now I'm picking this out with the tip of this razor blade, but what I'm not doing, I'm not touching the stitch lines that hold it together. I'm just in the middle there. I'm just getting this fuzz out of here. Right there. Not a big deal if it's black on black. If you had contrast thread in here though, you got to get every little piece out. Now this, on the bottom, I'm going to use my trusty little screwdriver, and just until I get one of those stitches up there. And in theory, it should pull out, although it did not. It's really in. There we go. Man, that sucker's down in there. I'm getting the grain of the webbing. I'm not even getting the. I'm not even grabbing the thread. So that right there, I would not send this to a customer. Like that right there just completely killed this belt. But we're gonna go ahead and put it together and we will give this belt away. Now where that shifted, I've just got a lot of meat, so it let it shift. I'm gonna actually cut this tail shorter. What's bay mean? That's like babe, bay.
Yeah.
Why do they say that?
I don't know.
Where did that come from? It's kind of weird. Because
Why
like
do they say bet.
bet, homeboy. Because like Salt Bay, right?
Yeah.
We should do that. We'll be like the thread crumbs bay, Salt Bay. Salt Bay of the nylon world.
I wonder if his restaurant's any good at all.
It has to be. It's expensive. Where is his restaurant?
I don't know. I think he has multiple ones.
I'm not going to his fucking restaurant. He can come here and cook for me. That's like out of the corner of my eye. That was bothering me. guys think we're joking about the Salt Bay guy. This is actually his belt. We're sending it to him. We just cut that thread. Most likely melted that thread. It probably got hot. Just going through the bulk there. I can't see the hole like when I'm threading it. I just can't. I need glasses, but I know when I put glasses on I won't be able to take them off because I see really good as soon as I put them on for a couple minutes, and then I take them off and my vision's blurry. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go a couple more years.
Stay strong.
But I think if I went blind, I think I could still thread the needle. I think I can hear it. If I can cut it right at the same place again. I wonder why it's doing that. Ooh, that's why it's doing it. I'm stuck right here. I normally sew with a bag on there. Yeah, I just slice my finger open too, running it down there.
Does the bag keep it from getting tangled?
Yeah, it keeps it from getting underneath that arm. It just depends on the thread. Yeah, normally that's put up on yellow cones. Okay, we're gonna tie in straight here. Nope, we just busted thread again. And I got a burr in here somewhere. If you're gonna have a problem, if you have a problem, it is going to amplify the thicker stuff you sew through. Nope, we're not going to be able to finish this. We're going to have it do it on another machine.
Keep doing the same thing?
Yeah. Keep trying the same thing and then be surprised when it keeps doing the same shit. Hook Velcro is usually what'll catch your thread and tear it up a lot of times. This is not hook Velcro right here. This is loop Velcro, the soft part. And that's usually not an issue. There, cut it again. If you're having problems sewing hook Velcro, sometimes you can sew it from the other side, right, with the Velcro on the bottom, and that'll take care of it. I'm going to walk away for a second and come back, and like magic, this is going to be finished. And through the magic of cinema, just like that, this belt is now complete.
Did we just James Cameron them?
We did. He wants to kill a lot of people, James Cameron.
Well, you ever been into Walmart at 5 p.m.?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe that's where James Cameron went. And then
I'm at work during 5 p.m.
Well,
I have a thing called a JOB.
on a fun Friday, you should head into Walmart around 5:30.
You really want to see the dregs of society. Go to Walmart on a welfare weekend. Whenever they're getting, what is that? When do they get their monies?
Stuff.
I don't think it's wicking. No, they call it something else. When you're putting on a ton of labels, you can get a air compressed machine, a programmable tacker that will actually hold your label, to clamp the label down, and you can set it in there and it will, and it'll just ninja it up.
Is that the exact noise it makes?
It does. It goes. And if you get with Collier equipment, they can ninja that up for you. They can do whatever you need. In the front, out the back. So you guys are lucky now. This buckle frame, the slot is bigger here. This slot, the area between the bar, the adjustment bar and the tension, right? This used to be about half this size. So you would almost have to fight to push this through there, and you couldn't use it with thicker webbing. And now they've made these frames bigger, and you can use it with proper webbing. We used to have to use only very specific webbings, and they had to be very thin. And then when you would put Velcro on them, they just wouldn't fit through there. You would have to fight it. But now, you guys have it so easy. Like,
isn't that the case for most things?
It is, man. Like, you have the answer to everything. If you can't do something today, it's only because you're not willing to do it. Like, anybody can do this. You could take a guy who has started doing, just never sewn before, and within 3 years to 5 years, he could surpass any place I've ever been in business, because you guys have every advantage in existence, and you have dudes like us that will actually speak to you and put you in direction and tell you, no, don't do that, do this. Hey, have you thought about this? Like, if you get around a dude who has run a company and has been around for 5 years, right? 3 years is where businesses typically go out of business. Well, a lot of them go out the first year, but if they can struggle for 3 years. If you make it 3 years, they're probably going to be in business. And you have the ability to speak to people like that now. There is no gatekeeper. You don't have to call and get a hold of my secretary and she's just grumpy someday. Like, you have the ability through social media to add value to people and get people's attention. You can talk to the CEO of any company out there almost right now directly, just by making posts and tagging and just adding value and adding positivity. You will get people's attention, and whether you realize it or not, people see you and they recognize you, and just through repetitiveness and adding value on a regular basis, you will find people will actually reach out to you, and you'll be able to do things on a scale you never thought possible. Hope you got some value out of this. Hope you enjoy this. This is the EDC wrapped belt, and this is the Cobra dog collar. We sell these. We don't sell these. Like, you can't order these off the website. If you want one of these, you send an email through my website. I, as the owner of this company, if you send an email through my website, I still answer every email. If you get an answer, usually in the middle of the night, that's me emailing you. And if you want a wrapped EDC belt, and there's no reason to do one in a solid color. Well, I mean, if you wanted OD green, you'd have to do a wrapped one, because I don't have any OD green dive belt webbing. But if you want any of the camo patterns, or you want contrast thread, you want this thing to pop, that's a wrapped EDC belt. And if you want one of these, you send me an email through my website, and I discuss with you what you want, and I tell you how much it costs, and then I send you a method to pay. And then we build it up, just like this one. So if you like this, leave some comments. If you don't like it, leave some comments, and we will see you next week.